Hello there. Thank you for joining us on this episode of NAFDAC and Your Health. On this program, we bring you the activities of NAFDAC in carrying out a mandate of safeguarding the health of the nation. My name is Okpejemi Urimolade. On today's episode of NAFDAC and Your Health, our focus is the issue of pesticide residue in farm produce, which has occasioned the rejection of agricultural produce and semi-finished products derived from farming, which are exported from Nigeria. We will also go on to look at the frantic efforts being made by NAFDAC to enlighten and sensitize farmers, exporters, and relevant stakeholders on ways to nip the menace of pesticide residue in the bud. The mandate of NAFDAC to safeguard the health of Nigerians encapsulates the responsibility of putting in place regulatory rules that cover the manufacture, sale, distribution, advertisement, importation, and of course, exportation of the products under the agency's regulatory purview. This is why it is of great concern that agricultural products exported to other countries have in recent times been rejected by the countries of destination due to pesticide residue that made the goods unsafe for consumption. Chief among the herbicides whose residue has been found in the products exported is paraquat. This issue of export reject has, however, put the efforts of NAFDAC, particularly in the area of pesticide control, to questioning. It then becomes pertinent to know what efforts the regulatory agency has made in controlling pesticides.
To control herbicides is to ensure that the foods that we take are safe and they will make us healthier. So one of our primary roles, of course, is to ensure food safety, and the Veterinary Medicine and Allied Products Directorate takes that very seriously. Paraquat was banned about 2 years ago. The fact that we still have it in the market is not too surprising. First, because there are some people that will hide their own or mopping of the paraquat from the market. Some farmers feel that it is more effective in controlling pesticides, but it is not just the effectiveness in controlling pesticides, it is the effect on human beings, which is our primary goal, to make sure that we safeguard the health of our people. And when products are going for exports, we make sure that we do all the testing. In fact, for exports, testing is free for now, because we want to encourage more people to come through NAFDAC. Unfortunately, most of the rejects of our products, almost all the rejects of our products are products that did not pass through NAFDAC. And this is a great opportunity to tell Nigerians that we appreciate the efforts that you are making in terms of exporting things out of the country. That will be great for our GDP, it will be great for the image of the country, it will be great for reducing joblessness. However, to lose that money, once it gets to the other country, to me, it's heartbreaking. First, because I know what it is to struggle to make ends meet in this country, and now to lose that money because they did not come to NAFDAC.
NAFDAC believes that no exporter wants to run at a loss. Neither would they want to be the cause of the death of their fellow men, whether here in Nigeria or in countries where their produce is exported to. This is why NAFDAC has made it a point of duty to continually sensitize relevant stakeholders on what paraquat is, why it has become dangerous to human health.
Paraquat are example of herbicides. And the paraquat is a non-selective herbicides which are used to control weeds and grasses. Paraquat are highly toxic and fast-acting and kill plant tissues by affecting the photosynthesis which those plants need to survive. Paraquats are commonly used to control weeds in oil palm and cocoa plantations. They are equally used to control weeds in tea and banana plantation, also cassava and maize farms. So you can possibly see them in any of these products that are grown in those areas that I've mentioned.
Herbicides are a class of pesticides that are used in a weed control on a farm production. Now, a weed is any unwanted plant that grows on any particular plantation. You can have a vegetable leaf like amarachus to be a weed on cassava plantation. So any unwanted plant to a particular plot is classified as weed, and herbicide are the class of chemicals that are used to control those weeds on farm. So we can say that herbicide is a class under pesticide. So pesticide is the general umbrella of all these chemicals that are used in agricultural production.
If pesticides, and particularly herbicides, pose dangers to human lives, a question that comes to mind is, what is actually the significance of pesticides? If it is significant, are there ways to use them to make them harmless?
The use of herbicide in agricultural production is important because when it comes to commercial farming, where you are talking of farming on 500 hectares, 1,000 hectares of land, which we have in Nigeria nowadays, you can't be having manual weeding of the weed on such farm. So it's better we use modern technology to get rid of the weed so that we can maximize our production potential. And depending on the type of crops we're looking at, there are different techniques that goes into herbicide application. There are some that are pre-emergence, there are some that are selective. Now, irrespective of the type you are using, the importance to food production is that we use the herbicide according to direction as specified, so that we don't create a problem in solving a problem. The problem we want to solve is to enhance food production so that we can be food secured. And if we have a lot of food produced and the food is not safe, it's as good as producing poison, which won't be good for the public health. Now, when we use herbicide on field, it is important for us to use it according to specification so that we can prevent residue. If we don't use it according to specification, if we use it below specification, we may not be able to control the weed we want to control. And if we use the concentration above what is recommended, then we will achieve what we want to control, but we will be leaving residue in the soil, which the crop that we're planting will pick, and it will be in the produce we are taking, which is no longer safe for consumption. So, and that is what is leading to the reject of the export that we're having. When the residue in those export goods is above maximum residue limit, obviously they will reject it.
NAFDAC and Your Health continues after this short break.
Substandard, falsified and counterfeit medicine is a threat to maternal and child health. NAFDAC, in its commitment to prevent maternal death and drastically reduce child morbidity, advises healthcare providers to ensure that quality, safe and efficacious medicines registered by NAFDAC and properly stored are used. NAFDAC requires that registered medicines must have NAFDAC registration number, batch number, manufacturer's name and actual location address, manufacturing date, expiry date, and scratch and test for anti-malaria and antibiotic medicines. NAFDAC advises the general public to purchase medicines from registered pharmaceutical retail outlets as prescribed by the healthcare providers. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to NAFDAC and your health. A type of herbicide once approved but later got banned is paraquat because it is particularly the herbicide whose residue has caused the export reject being experienced. Dr. Rametumo Modu, the Director, Veterinary and Allied Products of NAFDAC, explains the reason paraquat was banned.
Paraquat is banned because it has been found to be unsafe for use both in humans, animals and the environment. You know, these days we work with the concept of One Health, and that is how we approach everything that we're doing. And paraquat is found, you know, when it seeps into the soil, it can cause harm for humans who are exposed to it as well. It can cause irritation to the lungs, damage to the kidneys, and to all organs, actually, all organs, all cells, all tissues in the body. It causes damage, and at long exposure, it can cause cancers, and it causes Parkinson's disease. It is recorded. The studies have shown that it causes all of this, and because of that, globally, it is banned, and we align with international best practices, and what we have done here too is to ban it and to ensure that it is not being used. There is organic farming. There are many alternatives that they can use, and just even physical, to physically prepare the ground, you know, for farming. These are alternatives that they can use. And we are not relenting. What we're doing is it's continuous because we know the harm that it causes.
Regulation and regulatory activities is dynamic. For the fact that a product is approved, that does not make us to go to bed and say it is approved. We keep on monitoring the efficacy, the safety, the utilization of those products. Now, in the case of paraquat, continuous monitoring reveals that the residue of paraquat in soil, what we call half-life, is so long, and the safety is not assured because the residue being left in the soil is not being well managed by farmers. And where we have the first challenge in Nigeria agricultural system is such that our farmland is not a market and tag to a particular crop. A farmer can plant cassava this year on this plot of land, then next year he put in maize. Then following year, he put in soya beans. All these variation in crops have different soil utilization. For instance, maize is a surface soil utilizer, and cassava is a deep root. Now, if you plant maize first year, you apply some chemical. The manufacturer of that chemical is assuming that you are a maize farmer. The residue of that chemical on the farmland will have leached into the soil. If you are planting maize next year, those residue will not be at the reach of the maize again because it has gone down. So you put your fertilizer, you still get fantastic produce. But if you change and put cassava, that will go deep down into the soil. The cassava will now go and meet the residue down there and pick it up. So this inconsistency lead to the risk we have in our food chain. And in view of this, we discovered that paraquat residue, which we know to be very hazardous, a serious health hazard to human being, the point is it is bad for human being consumption.
Our product, sesame seed, being exported from Nigeria, For a while now, we've been recording rejects from country of trade, and this is because our farmers use this herbicides wrongly. They don't apply it properly, and by the time it gets to the country of trade, the pesticide residue, the allowable limit, is exceeded. And currently, lots of countries like USA, like Japan, like India, they have banned the use of paraquats as an herbicide. And Nigeria also follows suit in 1st of January 2024. So because international trade has come a stop to this, we also as an agency, we have pronounced already that paraquat is banned in Nigeria, and there are other alternatives that we encourage our farmers to use as herbicides.
Paraquat should not be used at all, but there are other products, herbicides or pesticides. If they need to use it, there are concentrations that they can use it and it will be safe. And there are times, because there's a time to use it, there's a season to use it, and at different times along, as they plant and as they harvest and as they dry, there are times to use it correctly. It is when you don't use it correctly or in the right concentration, so you have a residue. So for those that are not banned, that is there, and they must read the label and follow exactly what the manufacturer of the product has said, written on the label.
Apart from banning paraquat, NAFDAC has proper regulatory guidelines and policies in place to ensure that pesticide residue does not arise, but certain factors have thwarted the efficiency the regulatory guidelines ought to have.
There's some farmers who don't, know, because they feel that this paraquat is very cheap. Is easily, they are so used to it, cheap for them to use. So they must see some of these things they still find their way into the country, and the farmers are using. Most of our exporters, the people that are involved in this trade, they feel that NAFDAC, they don't know, or when they know, they feel NAFDAC will constitute bottleneck. So they don't pass through NAFDAC process before exporting this product. And it's unfortunate, because after spending so much money to send the product abroad, get rejected, sent back.
Export reject is avoidable. It should not be allowed to tarnish the image of Nigeria, spoil the relationship the country has with other countries, or cause Nigeria economic setback. This is why NAFDAC will continue to sensitize farmers, exporters, and other stakeholders. The next episode of this program will dwell on things to be done to avoid pesticide residue in farm produce, whether it is to be consumed locally or meant for export. The episode will also focus on the process of getting products meant for export to pass through NAFDAC, the testing procedures, and the timeline. Lastly, the episode will talk about export guidelines and how to assess them. That's how far we can go on this episode of the program. If you have comments, complaints, or observations, or you want to report any case of fake food products or drugs, we're always accessible.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email, reforms@nafdac.gov.ng, or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Do not engage in activities that will put efforts of NAFDAC to safeguard the health of the nation in jeopardy. Do not import or produce fake food products and drugs. Do not sell adulterated cosmetics. Do not sell unapproved medical devices. These acts endanger the lives of the public. Till we come your way again next week, stay safe.